Good morning, everyone. My name is Alexa, Operations Manager here at the BPM RIA office. This is Broward, Palm Beach, Miami-Dade Real Estate Investors Association, your only local chapter here in South Florida that is partnered with the National RIA, National Real Estate Investors Association. So we're going to get into our insanely awesome webinar today. From one of our local mentors here, Antonio Lopez. He's going to discuss how he became, the inspiration from zero to becoming a short-term rental hero. So he does own Antop Investment Properties, and he's going to rock it today. Before we get started, I have some upcoming events for you all. Lots of amazing events here. I invite you all to go to bpmreia.com to get registered for a lot of free events that I have posted here. I do have some paid events, and I have to highlight and talk the most about our next in-person quarterly meeting. Please, if anyone needs assistance or technical difficulties, anything with this meeting, I want you guys to get reserved, locked in, RSVP, get your tickets before you come up to the door. So we can save time, save your time. Your time is precious. I want you guys to get in there, get to networking, make the most of your time with other local real estate investors and vendors, a lot of vendors. So come prepared, get your ticket beforehand, and let me know if you have any questions for our next in-person quarterly meeting at the Signature Grand. We have 2 webinars coming up this week. Tomorrow we'll be meeting with our Chief Tax Strategist, Jose Ramirez. He is one of the speakers in our boot camp. Little side note. So if you want to get a preview of some of Jose's expertise, some things that he teaches our students here at BPM RIA, then we'd love to have you at our webinar tomorrow. And then we are doing something different this week. I don't know if Anish wants to chime in here, but I would consider this, would you consider this like a virtual happy hour, Anish? This is going to be more personal, cameras on, microphones on, 6 p.m. on a Thursday, Friday Eve. I mean, what more do you ask for?
Yeah, this is something we're going to do totally different because when you're on these webinars, we can't see your lovely faces. So we are going to do a meeting format, which is just like our 2-day quick start, where I will see your lovely faces. And it's just been kind of funny. I wanted to do something kind of fun, and we're calling it Ask Anish. So it is, you could pretty much ask me about everything. And I'm going to give my own disclaimer. The views of Anish Dave and no, I'm kidding. It might be a little bit loose. And what I'm actually going to do is it's going to be a virtual happy hour. So for the people that do have drinks, make yourself a nice little drink. And we're just going to kind of chat about, real estate, or I mean, we could talk sports. We could talk economy. We could talk about it all. So it should be fun, and we're trying something different. And if you guys like it, I might do this monthly, like Ask Anish, or have a special guest on. Maybe I'll have Antonio on there too sometime. Ask Anish and Antonio. So
absolutely. So I'm excited.
Don't ask me anything.
So I'll be sure to be the referee of the conversation. And just because I'm going to be there, I'm going to do a little raffle and make it fun for you guys. So somebody in there will win a free membership. So I'm excited. All right. And then, of course, our 2-day boot camp, we'll talk a little bit more about that. We have it coming up right around the corner, you guys. So please go ahead, get your ticket. If you've been thinking about getting into what we're teaching in our coaching program, this is going to be the perfect opportunity for you to spend 2 full days with Anish. Is the most time you'll be able to spend with him. And we'll talk a little bit more about
I don't know if that's a good thing or a bad thing. It depends if you ask my wife.
I know how valuable the time I spend with you is, so I know firsthand they can make their own decisions now. So, and I'm really excited for this one, Making Money Last. We're gonna have Nikki Nunley in the building, virtual building, for a free webinar, and this will be like a nice way to start, the fall. I feel like we're getting into fall kind of, so this is going to be a great webinar, and really happy to have her for the first time come speak to our group. So awesome events, guys. bpmria.com. easy way to keep up with events. If you're interested in text message updates, it's super easy to opt in. All you have to do is text BPM REIA, all one word, no spaces, to our event line, 954-800-6961. This is strictly an event update line. Don't call. There's no one on this phone number for you to respond to or talk to. Just this is for text updates for our events. So if you're interested, take a quick picture, go ahead and do that. And it's super easy and convenient. Alrighty, our 2-day quick start. This is going to be our full day virtual 2-day training. We're going to get into wholesaling, flipping, rehabbing. We're going to have 4 incredible guest speakers, all business owners, 4 key people that are part of our power team here at BPM RIA. Super crucial to every deal that we do here at BPM RIA. So if you're looking to get some insider tips and also really work with what we're doing in our coaching program, this is going to be the closest thing you can get to that. It's a 2 full day training. Like I said, guys, if you attend, I think it's the full first day, if I'm not mistaken, Anish, and you're not satisfied, it is a money back guarantee. So come join us. It is a safe place. We have member and non-member pricing. We're going to have a nice group of people in there. It's going to be a mix of realtors, investors, aspiring investors, our new mentor students, people that are thinking of joining our program. Lots of great people will be in this training, and it will be more intimate, cameras on, microphones on. And we will, get into actual deals. We'll actually analyze a property. We're going to, talk with the people in the group. We're going to get to know people, network, all those good things. So I'm excited to have all of you that are already in here. Happy to have you for the whole weekend, and hope to answer any questions from you guys. And also thank you for responding to this poll up here. So really helpful, really helps me know who I need to give more attention to. So thank you guys so much, and really excited for this next boot camp training. Alrighty, members, you get all the good stuff. You get in free for in-person networking meetings. Your guests come in for only $10. You get discounts to all of our special workshops, including our boot camp, any national speaker workshops that we have throughout the year, and of course, the amazing benefit package that we get through the National RIA. Discounts to Home Depot, Avis Budget, Rent Perfect, Millennial Insurance, so many more. So if you are wanting to get these savings and unlock these benefits and discounts, you can go ahead and purchase your membership on our website. Just press that memberships tab. And thank you guys for letting me know. Most of you in here have a membership. I love it. And you're all going to be at our in-person networking meeting for free in a week. Alrighty, mentoring and coaching here at BPM RIA. We do offer one-on-one coaching and mentoring here at BPM RIA. It is a very unique program. We do put up 100% of the money for our students' deals and split the profit 50-50. We offer different packages, and it is truly one-on-one, so it is very unique. That is why we go ahead and have this discovery call button right on our website so that you can conveniently book a call with me, so I can get you a breakdown of everything that's included in the programs we offer, as well as pricing information. And during this discovery call, I will be more than happy to schedule this 1-hour free consultation with you and a mentor so that you can get into all the nitty-gritty questions. No student is the same. So we want to hear from you. We want to know what your questions are and how we can help get you to your goals. So thank you guys so much always for listening to everything I have to say, all the updates. I want to take a moment to thank National RIA, thank all of our vendor partners that you can find on our website, all of those corporate members. Couldn't do this without you guys, all of our members and everyone who's in this webinar right now. We really do appreciate your time. We know the time is the most precious thing we have. And of course, thank you to our speakers here. We appreciate you guys. A couple of housekeeping rules. I will be putting a lot of helpful links in the chat box for you guys. So please take note of the chat, check the chat. I'll be putting as many helpful things in the chat for you guys. All of your questions, we'd love to take them. Put them in the Q&A box that you see in your Zoom menu. You'll see it when you hover over the screen. You'll see Q&A. Pop all your questions in there for Antonio and Anish. Please tell us
Yeah.
What's
So
trying to happen right now? I'm so
thank
excited.
you, Alexa. She is without a doubt the best. I know everyone has an Alexa at home. I actually got a real Alexa. So that's when they told me that, hey, you should get an Alexa. I thought they meant a person because I'm old and I didn't realize that there were other things out there. So my name is Anish Dave, President and CEO of BPM RIA. I am beyond excited. I see a lot of familiar faces here. Yes, we have coaching and mentoring and all the above, and only a few spots left for mentor students this month. But what I'm really proud is our special guest today. So I've known Antonio Lopez since I was a small little, for about 10 years or so. And he was originally one of our mentor students. And and I'll let him tell you about who he is. But on my side, he really wanted to get into real estate investing and joined our program. And he became one of the top students in our program all time. And to see the numbers of what he's done on just the wholesale and rehabbing was pretty awesome. And then, a bunch of years ago, he goes, hey, have you really looked at the short-term rental thing? There's this small company called Airbnb. I'm like, a who? And Airbnb, no, I'm good at what I do. And he's like, you got to really try this out. And so fast forward, and Antonio has got a thriving Airbnb business, short-term rentals, STRs is what we rather call it. And he's been crushing it. And a couple of years ago, I was just watching. He's like, again, we're lucky that we're friends and family. So he's always giving me these great tips. Hey, did you know about this? Did you know about that? And then I realized I only got maybe one out of the 20 things he told me. And I said, hey, you gotta do a webinar. You gotta start teaching this, because there's too many people out there that are teaching short-term rentals on, all the social media, but haven't done it. And it's too general on what they're doing. So when, we've done one other workshop with Antonio before, so I convinced him and said, look, our members have been asking forever. We got to do another short-term rental. We've got to do another 90-minute. We got to do an all-day session. We need this because there's a ton of money out there, right? So Antonio Lopez, I will pass it on to you. I look forward to the new things that you've learned and what you're teaching. And by the way, guys, I also gave them, I know I convinced Antonio to give them a bunch of freebie stuff too. And I do see some people from PAC also on here, the professional athletic community. Travis, what's up, buddy? So he actually went to one of the properties in person too. So Antonio, this is all your show now. So let's do it.
Thank you so much. Thank you so much for that intro. I really appreciate it. And, I owe a lot of what I know and a lot of the investment savviness that I have from Anish and from the community. So, I very much appreciate it. So I'm going to go ahead and share my screen over here. Do we see my screen? Yes. Looks like sharing it. Good. So essentially, just like the title says, right? From zero to becoming a short-term rental here. And I'll tell you guys a little bit more about my story. I'll tell you guys a little bit more about how I essentially started without really knowing absolutely anything, and how I had to travel through this journey over the past 7 years, more or less, to get to the point where I am. And not only that, but that it's so interesting because it just continues to get better, right? So the idea of this webinar is to unlock maximum amount of profits. And you could do this in 30 days. It doesn't take years like it did for me to figure out slowly, right? You can do this and implement all the softwares, all the strategies, and everything that I'm going to share with you guys today, and actually spend less than 4 hours a week. And it's not BS. It's not like a marketing gimmick. I literally spend probably less than 4 hours on this a week, right? Most of my time is really spent on managing, really. Managing my team, really. So, and again, like Anish said, I know there's a lot of new people on here, and I just want to kind of let you guys know, my name is Antonio Lopez. And for the next 90 minutes, what we're going to do is we're going to uncover a lot of the stuff or excuse me, a lot of the strategies that I use in order to really make my my property as profitable as possible. And as some of you know, the property is not $1 million property. It's not an oceanfront. It's nothing like that. And it still is the number 2 generating property in that area, revenue wise, right? Now, let me ask you guys a couple questions. How many of you know that you'll have to sharpen your skills to become a more savvy investor? Right? I can't see your hands, but if you can, put your hands up, right? How many of you know that in order to make more money in 2023, you're going to have to learn some new stuff, right? Exactly. Put your hands up, right? And at the end of the day, how many of you really understand that ultimately nothing is for free and that you are going to make an investment in yourself at the end of this webinar in order to learn this stuff? Everybody put your hands up, right? So with that being said, let's get right into it, right? And if you see me going and looking to the right, that's because I have several things going on at the same time in order to maximize the value of this webinar for you guys. So for me, the most attractive thing about STRs was that I saw that I was making more than 2x cash flow, but it's a minimum of 2x cash flow. All right. For some of you out there, for the beginners out there, right? Cash flow is the difference of money or the difference between your mortgage insurance and your taxes plus management in between what you're actually making per month. Now, a good cash flow for most people is about $500. So we're looking at 2x, 3x, 4x. Certain times we can get 10x, cash flow on these properties, right? But you have to know how to do it legally, number one, which is something we'll touch up on. The regulatory aspect of this business is the biggest factor, right? But we'll get into that. But more importantly, you have to start like a professional. And that's where the opportunity lies, right? It's starting like a pro, right? Learning how to go from 0 to 100 miles per hour in less than 30 days, right? So with that being said, who am I, right? And why should you listen to me, right? Let's all become billionaires, by the way, real fast. So it's not going to happen like that, right? You're not going to make $70,000 a year right away, right? At least not yet. At first, and let me tell you a little bit more about my story. At first, I just wanted to cover my bills. I wanted to be quote unquote free. And I came to the realization that my magic number was 100,000, right? I like to use magic number because it is the number that I want passively, completely for me to live the lifestyle that I want to live, right? So with that being said, I figured out that 100,000 divided by 365 is pretty much 273.97 a day, right? I've had about 5 properties in the past. I sold 2 of them. I've hacked 1, and I've done everything, right? I've co-hosted, I've managed. I've done absolutely everything. I use the short-term rental platforms to go out and see other people's properties that I find really enjoyable. And I learn from them, right? And we'll get into that in a quick second here. The idea was, though, again, that if I just made $273.97 per day, that's really all I need, right? That's all I really want, right? And so I just want to ask you guys a question. What's your magic number? What's the number that you guys are looking for, right? I want you guys to write that down, right? And then divide it by 365 and look at, okay, how much money do I have to make per day? And that's really it, guys, right? That's the number you want to hit every day. If you're not doing stuff that's generating that little bit of money or that large amount of money for you, then you want to look at what you're doing, right? So with that being said, like I mentioned, I have 5 properties. I sold 2 during the pandemic. Things got really wild. And I learned a lot from that moment. And we'll get a little bit deeper into that once we get farther into the presentation. So that's just a little bit about who I am, my goals. And we'll talk a little bit more, but I just wanted to share a quick
Hey, what's going on, guys? I'm George Tovar, and I just want to say...
So real quick, before I play his testimonial, with George, we actually got him up and running in actually 2 weeks. I know it says 30 days, but it was actually 2 weeks. The first reservation came in less than like 24 hours. I think it took 12 hours to get the reservation in. But again, why? Because we did it professionally, right? Like we started the right way. And that's what I'm going to share with you during this during this presentation. And that's just a picture of his place, just as reference. I'm just going to play his testimonial real quick.
I got my condo set up with Antonio Lopez, and this guy worked extremely fast. I had traveled for work. I hadn't been able to use my condo for like 3 months. So I just been dishing out $3,000 every month without even using the location. I gave Tony a call, and within 30 days, He had my place up and running on Airbnb, easily every month generating $4,000 to $5,000 a month, enough profits left over, and all done within 30 days. If anyone is considering setting up your property or condo or house on Airbnb, I highly recommend you give Tony a call. Antonio Lopez is great. He works fast. What I like the most personally is that he will tell you directly whether your property is a good fit or not. And if it is, he's gonna get to work on it and have you set up right away. Highly recommend anybody to work with Antonio Lopez. Hey, what's going on, guys? I'm George.
That's just one of the people that I've worked with in the past. And at first, just like everybody else, you know, he had some doubts just naturally, right? Like, hey, how do we deal with insurance? How do we deal with, you know, licensing? How do we do this? How do we do that? Right? So this presentation is really for people who want to get started in the STR. And by the way, guys, STR stands for short-term rental property, right? And there's also midterm rental properties, right? During the workshop, I actually go into the difference between both and how you can set up for both. But for the sake of time and for the sake of this presentation, STR means short-term rental property, right? And maybe you already have one and you're looking to increase your occupancy. Right now, it's gotten really, really tough. And luckily, because of all the tools and all the strategies that I implement, I haven't really suffered. Things have been going actually surprisingly well. You know, I'm sure a lot of you have heard of the Airbnb bust. It's never happened, right? At least not to me. So with that being said, if you don't have a business yet and you want to hit the ground running, maybe you don't have a property. Maybe this is probably, not probably, but maybe the first time you hear about this opportunity in this way, right? Maybe you're thinking to yourself, I don't have a house, Antonio, I don't have a property. There's ways of getting started in this business that you don't need to even own a house, right? But if you know how to manage it and you know how to, again, put all these strategies into play, you can still earn a ton of money. And that's actually a client that I do have. And I'll show his testimonial later. It's two of them, actually. And also, you know, I especially during the meetings, and I'll go into that story later. A lot of people come up to me, you know, very well-versed managers, right? People who are 50 properties, 100 properties. And, you know, they come up to me and they ask me these questions and I feel like a small fish in the pond, right? And at the same time, once I get talking through them, they're just like, wow, Antonio, like, this is like Anish was saying, like, this is some really, really interesting stuff. And I'm like, yeah, like, you have to implement this because you're going to make X amount of dollars more, et cetera, et cetera. So even if you're an established STR manager or property manager, you definitely want to stick around and check this out. Now, what's an STR? Short-term rental is essentially what everybody calls an Airbnb, right? Airbnb is just an OTA, meaning they're just an online travel agency. There's several of them across the board. Folks that are deeper in the industry, that are professional managers or professional owner operators, we usually use the term STR. And for me personally, especially after what Airbnb did during COVID, it drew a lot of hosts away and to start doing their own direct bookings, right? But with that being said, why would you want to do this, right? So my goal for this web class is that you maximize your rental potential through an STR. So if you already have a property, if you don't have a property, if you're an experienced property manager, you definitely, you know, the whole point of this webinar is to get you thinking like not just like a professional, but to start implementing some of the principles that we're going to be talking about. And the best way to set up an STR is going to be learning from someone else's experience, like Antonio, right? So you don't have to go through the trouble and through the years of spending time and doing all this stuff, because guys, let me tell you, it's so important. Once you know these strategies, you're just gonna, it's easy. I hate to say that it's easy, but it becomes a lot easier. And with a coach, it becomes that much easier, right? So this is actually my first STR, my first short-term rental, right? It didn't look like this when I started, okay? This is, and just real quick, just to touch up on this, this is me talking to some of the Dolphins players. They actually invited me to be a contributor for the Miami Dolphins Business Combine in 2023, and also with ex-NFL players, which I don't have a picture in here, but with these guys, they're, you know, ex-NFL players, phenomenal people, and they invited me to be a contributor for the short-term rental aspect of the real estate business. I've been recognized by the National RIA. I got member spotlight, and there's some other stuff that I'm not going to go into right now, but just to give you an idea of who I am. But anyways, so this was my first STR, right? These are the pictures that you see of my first STR. As you can see, I even drew on the picture when I was trying to create the check-in, the check-in guide. If you look at this first picture on the left, it's like I don't know, I don't know, like, because I know about them, right? I'd probably stay there, but for most people, people eat through their eyes, is a saying in Spanish, la gente come por los ojos. And in this case, you could tell that these pictures are not like spectacular, right? Like they're whatever. So, you know, again, a learning process, right? So what I really, really wanted to accomplish, externally speaking, I wanted to travel the world. I wanted to see things I've never seen before. And I'm still like that. I still love traveling. I still enjoy, you know, beautiful beaches and, you know, mountains and skiing and all this stuff, right? But internally speaking, what I really wanted, I had, like it says here, a deep-rooted desire to become a true professional, you know, to feel as a person who can inspire others to reach their goals. And by me doing it for myself and learning about not just the STR business, but real estate in general, that's what I really wanted, right? That's what I really wanted to get out of all of this. So unfortunately, my story, and again, this is why it's so important you guys learn this, is because I was running the Airbnb business, the short-term rental business, and it wasn't going so bad. And I was making, at that time, I was making 2 times rent, meaning that regular long-term rent, or LTR, was about 1,300 max, meaning top of the market at that time was $1,300. It was 1 bedroom, 1 bath, and it looked like a it kind of looked like it was like a 1980s loft, right? So it was like a big open space, but it was small, right? But anyways, and I tried long-term rental. Just so you guys know, I already had a long-term rental. I had tried it. I actually had more trouble with the long-term renters because of the laws and because of the leases and because I almost had to evict somebody, right? I was just kind of turned off by it. And then it got to the point where I had to move. I had to move to Fort Lauderdale for work and for training purposes. And, you know, someone told me, they're like, hey, why don't you try this Airbnb thing? And I'm like, no, you know, like I already had trouble with long-term renters. And they're like, no, the community is really great, et cetera, et cetera. So I tried it. And the best part was that I didn't have to really move any of my stuff, right? It was somewhat convenient. So I just kind of just left it. I even left my clothes in there. I left my shoes. And it was, you know, and it was going great. I was making 2x rent. And I was like, wow, this isn't so bad. And people are so nice, et cetera, until I had that one, or actually it was a group. It was a group of people. They came in, they trashed the place. And long story short, that's when I came to the realization that, you know, I had to learn the business like a professional. You know, I couldn't take the chances because I have to protect my asset. Right? I have to protect that thing that's making me money. And if I have people coming in and messing up my place, that forced me to think like a professional. It had me think of, okay, how do I avoid this in the future? How do I mitigate guests' expectations and what they should expect, right? Or excuse me, what I should expect out of them, right? So I had to think about all these things, set up rules. Again, I quickly realized I had to run this as a business and no longer as a hobby. So the plan was to tighten up my business. It was to avoid guests from destroying my place. It was to set up the rules, set up insurance, you know, all these things that I had to come up with. And not only that, but then optimize the actual physical space for my guests. Because remember, I had left my clothes, I had left like all my stuff, even my valuables. I was just like, whatever, these guys, you know, it wasn't a big deal for me until it was a big deal, right? So the problem was that I didn't know how to get started, right? I didn't know how to price according to demand. I didn't know how to submit an insurance claim. And moreover, there were a lot of costs that were associated with me doing this. Not just, you know, money costs, but time costs, right? Like there was a lot of management that was involved. You know, I had to go in there and start figuring out, okay, like, how do I make my listing better? What can I do? Then I realized that, like, you know, a 3-sentence description is not cutting it, right? Because not only do I have to tighten up because of my guests, but I also have to tighten up because there's a lot of money to be made, right? So this is what's possible now, right? through my flipping business and through my STR business, which recently has been doing spectacularly well, I've really been able to travel the world, which is what I wanted, right? This is me in the city of Mexico. I actually went to the Bad Bunny concert in a different country. I took my mom to Alaska. That's me and my girlfriend in Cuba. Again, and I have more and more pictures, but that's essentially what's possible now for me, right? And, you know, especially through the RIA, thank you, BPM RIA, through BPM, through PAC, through all these different professional associations that I've created in my life, you know, I have become and I am experiencing myself as a true professional, right? Like at this point in my life, I really don't wholesale properties anymore. Most of them I either fix or flip them, or I wholesale them on the internet, on the MLS. And right now I'm basically cherry picking the properties that I want, right? I don't pick properties that don't fit my criteria or my check boxes. And so it's just like I'm at where I thought I would be, or I am who I thought I could be back 10 years ago. But now 10 looking from here 10 years forward, you know, I can only imagine the kind of person that I'll be in 10 years, as long as I keep applying all these principles and continuing to grow as a professional. So like I told you guys, man, it's been more than 5 years, right? It's been, I think, 2006. We're in 2023. Yeah, that's 7 years. So it's taken me a long time to figure this stuff out, right? And it's important that you guys know what a struggle it was, because it definitely was a struggle. So let me ask you guys, you know, and if you've been struggling, right, the chances are this is probably why, right? People are telling you it's not worth it. Maybe you've heard that the legal landscape is really tricky. Maybe you're not afraid of that. Maybe you just don't know what to say to homeowners. Like, hey, how do I get over homeowner hesitations, right? Like the homeowner is going to ask me about insurance, and they're going to ask me, you know, are you going to have parties? And all of that stuff is already answered for you, right? It's already done for you. You don't know how to evaluate a property or a particular market, right? Like, how do I know what kind of property I should buy, or what property I should arbitrage? Which arbitrage is where you rent a house and then re-rent it out. But therein lies, right, even more questions, right? Like, how do you do that? Why doesn't the homeowner just do that? Why do I have to get involved, right? So there's all these questions. All of that's already answered for you. Maybe you're having a hard time learning how to deal with potential guests, right? Like, you don't know, maybe this is the first time that you've thought about opening up a hospitality business, right? Because that's essentially what we're doing. We're providing a phenomenal experience for these people. Maybe you have questions like, how do I effectively create an experience for these people that they're not only going to want to spend top dollar, but that they're going to come back, right? And that's something else that we're going to touch up in the workshop, not during here, but it's crucial that you learn about direct booking strategies. Okay, and direct booking means they come directly to you, and you save money because you don't have to pay Airbnb or any other OTA, you know, 15% upwards of whatever, you know, whatever you got to spend or whatever. So you get to keep that money. And so there's a lot more stuff, right? There's a lot more stuff to this business. Obviously, you know, it's going to be hard to cover it in 90 minutes, but I'm going to give you the bare bones stuff that you really need to know. So again, the hard way, this is what I was forced to do for the past 5 years. That's actually me on vacation, on the phone, and they took a picture of me because they were making fun of me, right? My friends were, I was there in like Spectacular Island, you know, I don't even remember. I think it was like St. Bart's or something like that. And beautiful, just beautiful. The sun is going down. You can kind of see it in the picture. And I'm in the water answering messages. I'm manually setting prices. I'm monitoring for events, not just at my property, but going around like Tortuga Festival, or when is F1 coming, or all this stuff, right? And all these other things, right? Answering all maintenance requests, paying for copy, managing supplies, right? The dollar cost is not so much really what hurt, you know, because I didn't make it. I didn't lose it, but I didn't make it, right? But what really sucked was the amount of time I was spending on it, right? I literally lost months of time because I had to chase doing this business right. And that's the whole point of this thing, guys. It's, you don't have to do that. you guys are going to get the secrets, right? Which there's really no secrets, just so, let's not BS, right? There's really no secrets. But the reality is that a lot of people don't know about this stuff, right? So the first one is the intricate dance of legality, right? Like, how do you make your STR legal? Where do you go? Who do you ask? How much does it cost? Et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. And not just here in Fort Lauderdale and Broward, but in Miami-Dade and Palm Beach, Orange County, right? If you go to Tallahassee, if you go to the Panhandle, it doesn't matter. What's really great about this is that it's all pretty much the same. Now, again, this is really, really good info because you have to do your research. You have to go into the market and you have to find out what's going on. And something that a lot of hosts actually don't talk about is what's coming up, right? Like what bills are in the Senate, in the state Senate, or in the or in the House of Representatives, like what's coming up. And just as a tidbit, there are 2 bills, one in the House and one in the Senate that are coming up in Florida. They've been pushing it every time they're trying to pass a law, but that's a conversation for another time. But again, just to give you perspective on some of the stuff that you should know, right? Number 2, the power of profile optimization, right? Like you don't have to be an SEO expert, right? And you don't have to be an expert in Airbnb, like verbiage or whatever. And you want to make sure that you know at least the basics of optimizing your profile, okay? Because optimizing your profile is going to be the difference between you showing up on page 1, 2, 3, and 4 versus showing up literally on page like 350, right? Number 3, exposed, right? The magic of price and minimum stay strategies. This is such a huge deal. This is really what changed everything, because from the beginning, you can mess around with the profile optimization. You can change certain words, and once you get your licenses, right, you're good to go. But really, where you really become a true expert and you can immediately see the results is when you learn about pricing your property right. And when you learn about messing around with your minimum day stay strategies, right? And I'll go into more detail now. So, excuse me, guys. Number 1, unveiled, right? The intricate dance of legality, right? Like, how do you get your license and make your neighbors happy, right? Super easy. And this is a very basic overview, but just with this, you guys are going to be able to get started on whatever it is that you're going to do, right? You're going to be, again, save time and sanity, right? Save time and money and sanity. So, just to give you guys a little bit of background, right? With the whole legality thing, you want to make sure you have the right insurance, right? Insurance it's a key factor. There's different types of insurance on the workshop. We're going to go over that stuff. We're going to go over the insurance that, for example, Airbnb and VRBO offer. We're going to talk about third party or add-on insurance, and then we're going to talk about homeowners insurance, right? So you don't need to have all 3, right? But you can never have too much insurance. And for the amount of money that you're going to be making, it pays to have insurance. I even went a step ahead and got a liability insurance. So with that being said, you got to make sure that your business is scalable, it's risk averse. And the best part is that it's easy, guys. It's easy. Once you have somebody that tells you exactly what you need to do, hey, like talk to this guy, do this, right? You guys, it's super easy. So in order to get your license, first thing you need to do, and remember, I don't know if there's people from all over the state, but I would imagine you guys are from all over Florida, maybe all over the United States. What you want to do is search STR license in your county, right? Or vacation rental licensing in your county, right? Most of the time, number 1 is going to pop right up, right? Is going to be that county, right? So if you put like Orange County, like if you guys are in Orlando, you would go and put Orange County, STR licensing or vacation rental licensing, right? It's as simple as that. What you want to do, right? Most of the time, those websites, they'll have whatever it is that you need on there, right? And if you have questions, the cool thing is that, and I don't know if you guys noticed this or if you guys have gone to any other webinars or whatever, but most of the, I'd say almost all the time, people in this particular industry are like super friendly, right? Like everybody wants to help each other out. Everybody is just like, there's enough for everybody to go around. Yes, obviously there's competition, but it's competition online, right? It's not competition between hosts like in real life, right? Like, and this is part of the reason that I'm doing this. It's part of the reason that that I'm doing this webinar because so many people came up to me. They're like, yeah, I have 2-3 properties and I don't know what to do. And, or they're like, yeah, I'm using this, but I don't know, and so I'll just guide them. And again, it's just because, this is the type of industry that we're in. And with that being said, the people at the city are really cool too, right? The people in the city are really cool. And they want to make money, right? They want a piece of the action, right? And that's okay because there's a ton of money right now. There are, and I'm not going to get into it right now, but there are limits, right? There are limits to my benevolence or whatever. So the idea is that you're going to call the city and you're going to call and you're going to ask them questions. And like I said, it says here, people in this sector of the government tend to be very, very nice. Now, all you have to do is basically fill out the paperwork. Now, sometimes you might have to make changes to your house, right? Like you might have to, for example, in my house, I had to put these smoke alarms and they all had to be connected. And that's kind of like, duh, right? Like I can't have one smoke alarm go off and the others don't notify everybody else in the house. That's just like obvious, right? Another obvious thing was putting a fire extinguisher in the house. Like, even before, I got the license from the city, I always had a fire extinguisher, right? But the city asks you for basic little things like that. And it's really simple. And they give you a checklist, right? I actually share the checklist here and I go step by step in the workshop on how to get your license, right? And so this is actually my license from the DBPR, which is the Department of Business and Professional Regulation. This is the real thing. And I already renewed it. So don't tell me anything about the expiration date. I already renewed it. And I learned because I didn't know it was due. So, of course, I learned to renew my license. But again, something you don't have to learn because I'm already going through it, right? Like maybe not literally, but I have bumped my way through the whole way, right? And of course, your neighbors, right? So this is another big one. If you see your neighbors outside, wave to them. Let them know what's going on. Let them know you're insured. Let them know that you have the hardware necessary to avoid parties, right? Which is something else, again, that I go through the workshop. We just don't have enough time here. And let them know, hey, look, I am a professional host, right? The house, we do this, we do that. This is the way we're running it. And, if anything, please give me a call, right? Before they call the police, right? Hey, if there's loud noise, just give me a call, right? We already have monitoring software and hardware in there to make sure this doesn't happen. But just in case, right, there's nothing like having a pair of eyes there. I don't know if you guys know about the recent flood that happened maybe 6 months ago or something, where everybody everywhere in Broward basically got flooded. I luckily did not get flooded. And I also did not worry because I called my neighbor. I was like, hey, what's going on in the neighborhood? Right. But I have that type of that type of friendship and relationship with my front door neighbor. Right. So you definitely want to go out and you want to meet your neighbors. Right. And yes, I had to go through a struggle. That is literally me without the pills, though, because I just saw that it has pills. So I had no pills for me. But I was at one point, it's overwhelming. Right. It can get overwhelming. But again, that's when you're just not clear on what the next step is, guys. And that's what you don't have to go through. You don't have to go through that mission. So again, who this works for, people starting out, people who already own properties, people who don't want to own properties, right? Like if you don't want to own a property, you don't have to. People who have their own home, right? Which is something called house hacking where and if again, it takes a certain kind of person, right? To be very friendly and very open. You could actually just rent out one of your rooms. Or if you have like an efficiency at your house or a room that has like a private entrance, you could rent it out $65 a day. At $65 a day, what is that? Let me take out, well, I guess I'm not going to take out my calculator now, but you guys do the math. 65 times 30, that's $19.50, right? And you do a 30-night minimum, right? So you don't have people coming in and out of your house, which is something else that we're going to talk about, which they refer the 30 days or more. They usually refer it, they refer to that as midterm rentals, right? And right now they're super, it's really important to know about that strategy. But anyways, so if you own a boat, right, and it's sitting at the dock, you can rent that out. You could rent a trailer, like a trailer home. I mean, Jesus, if you have a tent, you could rent out your tent, right? It's unlimited what you can do. And it works for all types of people, right? Now, this is just a couple of examples of what people have out there, right? Like this guy, he has a huge, beautiful home and he rents it with the Tesla. which I think is super cool, right? I don't know if I would rent it just because of the Tesla, because I don't, but maybe, right? That's an extra $70 a day I don't have to spend on a rent a car, right? Plus the insurance, plus, et cetera, right? I wonder how he deals with insurance though. So this guy has a crypt hotel built in an actual crypt, right? This guy has a geodome on a farm, right? This is actually pretty cool. I did something similar like that in Colombia, and it was spectacular at night. It was amazing. This is called the smallest house in the world, right? And it looks like it's portable. So you can rent that on Airbnb. There's an airplane, an old airplane, or it looks like a little shed with an airplane on top. Guys, the whole point is that you can rent almost anything out as long as you're insured, right? As long as you get the right insurance. And of course, that the experience is not just cool, but that it's very comfortable. And even then, it doesn't even have to be comfortable. What about if the person wants to go out into the woods and feel that, right? It depends on your avatar, really, right? But you can do any of this stuff, right? Now, let me ask you guys a question, right? Who thinks here? I mean, my mom got excited for this picture, but who thinks here this info is awesome so far? And I'm looking to the right because I'm hoping to see some hands go up. Like it is awesome because this stuff is meant to make you money, guys, and for you guys not to go through look at I don't know if you can see it, but my hair is starting to turn white, right? Because I had so much stress in my early 30s because of all this stuff, right? So, hoorah. So anyways, next thing, right? Antonio, where do I find a good STR model, right? Like, how do I know what's a good house, what's not a good house? Bill, I see your hand. Woo! Go, Bill. I appreciate that. First thing you want to do is search on Airbnb, right? So, just real quick, guys. Airbnb, just so you guys know, a quick statistic is that Airbnb has, Airbnb has I think it's 95% of the market share, 90 to 95%. So you're going to see a lot of the time me switch from STR to use the words interchangeably. But catch me if I say Airbnb anymore, spank my hand and tell me, no, it's STR because it's so much bigger than Airbnb. But anyways, search Airbnb and find a property you'd like to stay in. That's how you kind of can hack the system to start off with, right? And you could do it locally, right? There's a ton of houses here in Fort Lauderdale. There's actually more houses than I'd like, where you can go and stay and really, check their stuff out, right? And not always do you really have to stay, right? Like you could just check out their their profile, right? You could look at their pictures. You could look at, how do they set them up? What's the order of the pictures, right? In this case, what you want to do is you want to analyze their listing, right? Completely. Look at their description. Are they using bullet points, right? Do they have picture captions on all their property, or excuse me, on all their pictures, right? Do they have more properties? What star rating do they have, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera, right? So another thing that you want to do is you want to look at their calendar. Right? Their calendar is going to be an indicator. This is actually an old picture because I did this webinar, I think like the first week or second week or whatever of January. But you want to look at their calendar and you want to see, hey, do they have demand, right? Like, is there demand in this area? And more particularly, is there a demand for this property that I'm looking at? And the way that you can tell that is because in the future, we're in July, right? So if in the future, some of their days are booked, for August and for maybe even as far out as September, that means that they're doing something right. Now, here's the caveat to that, right? You got to look at their pricing as well, because maybe their prices are just too low, right? Like I have found almost like the perfect little balance between occupancy and my pricing, which is something, and this is, I wasn't going to cover this, but I'll cover it now. It's called RevPAR, right? That's what you're really looking for. A lot of people talk about ADR, which is average daily rate. Right? A lot of people are, oh my God, my occupancy, right? Yeah, those are all great, right? But if I have a really high occupancy with a really low price, who cares, right? Like I'm just giving away the house. But on the other hand, if my price is way too high and my occupancy is low, right? I don't know if that's really a good idea either, because then it's like I'm not making maximum amount of profits, right? And that's what this webinar is about. So what you really want to look at is your RevPAR, right? RevPAR stands for revenue per available room, or RevPAL, revenue per available listing, right? Basically, so you can get your own RevPAL or your own RevPAR for your own property. What you do is you basically look at all the days that you were occupied, you add up all the per day that you received, the revenue you received, and then divide it by 365, and that gives you what you really made per day, whether your house was occupied or not. And so that's the magic number that you want to get up. So I know I went off to the side a little bit and I got ahead of myself, but that's just super important. Just with that, it makes this webinar worth it, because I found out about RevPAR like 2-3 years ago or something. I was like, duh. But anyways, again, go stay there. Some of these places are super cheap, right? Especially right now, we're in low season. So if you could stay at a house for 2-3 nights and really enjoy it, I highly recommend it. Take notes, right? That's the best way that you're going to get the best experience. So then what you do is you turn around and you're like, man, I could do a way better job. Or you turn around and you're like, man, this was phenomenal. Like, I can totally use all these ideas. Again, whenever I travel, first place I look at are Airbnbs. And I've traveled before, and I don't know if Anish is still on, but sometimes he's like, no, I don't want to stay on Airbnb. It's like, no, man, it's way better. But not always. There are some nice hotels out there. So this, I actually just added this, right? This tool is like really, really good, guys. AirDNA. I don't know if you've heard about it before, but it's phenomenal. The only thing that I would say about the Rentalizer tool, okay, is that you still, like, if you're really serious about buying a property and going into maybe doing the arbitrage thing, right? You have to do your research. So yeah, this is a great tool and it's not terrible, but you still have to go in there and you have to look at property per property to make sure what it is you're getting into, guys, because the last thing you want is to use, let's say, for example, AirDNA Rentalizer, and then all of a sudden, you're not making, $100,000 a year like you're supposed to, right? So you really, really, really want to make sure, yes, you can use this. And guys, if you guys don't know, AirDNA is, I think, the biggest data provider for the short-term rental industry. I use them. I also use Price Labs. I use a bunch of people. But these guys, I love their Rentalizer tool because I can just go in there and just you literally put in an address and it gives you what you can expect your occupancy to be, what your ADR should be, and some other interesting numbers. Although this tool is free. And again, if you're going to do research, you have to go in there. That's part of what we're going to do in the workshop. I'm going to teach you exactly what it is that you need to find out, or the filters, I guess you can say, or the boxes you need to check off to make sure that you're looking now, number one, at the right data, that it's not like crappy data, that's not good data. And that also you're looking at actual comparables of the property you're looking to arbitrage or that you're looking to purchase. Secret number 2, right? The power of profile optimization. This is huge, right? Because you could have the right pricing, you could have you could have your license and whatnot, but if your pictures and if your profile is not optimized, you're just not going to get the money you need, right? You're not going to be one of those top producers in your market. And this is a fact. This is not, an opinion of mine, right? So again, you don't have to be a tech or SEO wizard, right? It's easy, right? Now, I did most of the reading for you guys. You don't have to read as many books as I did. I'm obsessed with this. I don't know if you could tell, right? Like, I'm super excited to be talking about this to you guys. But with that being said, right? Like, even this morning, I was listening to a podcast because I just want to know what's going on and what's the newest thing. And so I'm really on the edge of technology, and I'm on the forefront actually of this industry, right? And so you don't have to be. You just got to ask me questions, right? And that's what I'm here for. So number 1 is great description. Now, I want to see how many of you have heard of ChatGPT. Let me see how many people are paying attention. Okay, there we go. Yeah, there we go. I see the hands going up. Come on, guys. There we go. Perfect. Yeah. So ChatGPT, guys, great description is only a ChatGPT prompt away, right? Now, it really helps out to know how to prompt ChatGPT, right? If you guys don't know what ChatGPT is, you need to just look it up on Google. Or excuse me, on Google and on YouTube, and ask for like a beginner's guide. It's gonna blow you away. And now it's, I know it's only been out since November of last year, but it's way farther ahead than it was, even in November, right? Like, I'm using it and I'm prompting it and I'm doing this and I'm doing that. But here's the thing, right? Just because you use ChatGPT doesn't mean that your description is going to be what the algorithm picks up on the OTAs. So again, OTAs are online travel agencies, which are like Airbnb, VRBO, Booking.com, right? What you want to do, you need professional tools to figure out, okay, where do I rank, right? And that's how you start A/B testing your profile, right? So A/B testing is you try something and you see where it lands you in the search results. And then if it shoots you up, right, and it keeps you up, you keep it and you make small little changes. If they don't work, you go back, you put them back to B, right? Or excuse me, you go back to A, right? And you just tweak it little by little, right? So your description is very, 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 very important. Very important. Pictures, I would say, is like the number one thing that is the easiest thing that you can do, because all you do is have to pay a professional photographer to make your property look like this. Even if your property, and I'm not saying don't go on there and like exaggerate your pictures, right? But make them look as good as possible, right, guys? We're here to make money. This is a business, and you need to put up your product, right? Like if Apple didn't take great videos of their products and like the whole fancy white background thing, chances are that, you know, it wouldn't be as interesting. And that's the whole point, right? Like the algorithm picks up on interesting properties, right? It can tell. And the way it can tell is, and kind of going back to your description, is how long do people stay on your listing, right? If people go to your listing, they kind of click through your pictures and they jump right back out, your property, it's not that interesting, right? Even if on real life, it could be like mind-blowing how beautiful your property is. If you can't communicate that on your listings, you're doing yourself a disservice and you're losing literally tens of thousands of dollars per year. Okay. So professional pictures, no questions asked. If you walk away from this webinar, at least know you have to take professional pictures, right? With that being said, the description also, going back to the description, it's really important that you do a description that's very interesting, maybe even put little funny remarks in there, because it's going to keep the person on your page longer, right? And again, that's one of the big things that the OTAs look at, is like, how long is this person on your page? And not only that, that's a leading indicator, guys. How much time somebody spends on your site is a leading indicator, because the more time they spend on your site, chances are the more likely they are going to sit there, read through everything, and it's going to convert, right? So it's a leading indicator, which allows, it tells the OTAs, hey, this guy's property or this woman's property or this person's property is very interesting, right? Obviously, I mean, I don't want to say obviously, but definitely want to highlight the amenities, right? The amenities here, you know, if you got a pool, even if you have granite countertops, right? If you have really beautiful, really clean granite countertops, you take a picture and you make it look all artistic. It just works, guys. It works. If you have brand new, what is it called? If you have brand new refrigerator, oven, whatever it is, guys, that you think is like, oh man, I really love this, right? Like I really love this little detail about the house. You accentuate it. You make sure that photographer gets in there and takes a really artistic picture of that, because again, that's what sells online. That's what's going to get people to look at your profile, to stay there, and to eventually convert, right? And the more people that stay on your profile for longer, right, the higher you're going to get ranked. So it's like an upward spiral, right? Like everything kind of adds up and puts you up higher in the search rankings. And then of course, when you get professional ranking software, right, you're going to be able to take it to the next level, right? Because now you have really, really detailed information about the rest of the KPIs. KPIs, guys, are key performance indicators. Some of the key performance indicators are not really like public. People have just like figured them out over time, such as the amount of time that people spend on your website. But other KPIs are there, like your conversion rate, right? That's a big thing. Your revenue, right? How much revenue are you producing? Your occupancy, right? And so what you can do with some of this professional software is that you can start building out reports for yourself and comparing yourself from one month to the next. And if you're lucky enough, like I am, you could compare it from years before to now, right? Really look at, okay, has my average daily rate gone up? Has my occupancy gone up? What's going on, right? Like what can I tweak in order to make sure that I optimize my profile to be able to produce maximum amount of revenue? Okay. And And there's a way, I mean, it's just, it goes, the rabbit hole goes deep, but the cool thing about this rabbit hole is that the deeper you go, the more money you're going to make. Okay. And the safer you're going to keep your asset. So that's what's cool about this. I used to stay up really late, right? I used to have to like mess around with this stuff. I'm still obsessed with it, but it's not because of responsibility. It's not like I have to do it. I just really enjoy seeing my property make more money, right? And sometimes I can even say it's not even about the money. It's really about the enjoyment I get out of, you know, maximizing this thing that I have, right? This asset, and being able to scale that, and now doing it for other people, and seeing it work as well as it has. It's just, you know, it's like the beginning of the presentation. Like I've become the investor that I've been wanting to become. So anyways, I used to take photos with my phone, terrible descriptions, and I would lose on. I didn't know it, right? Like you don't know it, right? Because you're swimming in the water that you don't know there's better water, right? So I would lose on opportunities. And I'll tell you guys, in the first 5 years of this business, first 4 or 5, God knows how much money I didn't make. You know, chances are I could have made probably another 20 or 30% more, which would have added up to a little bit over 20 or 30 grand more per year. And, you know, if I would have known, right? But that's what you guys don't have to go through, right? You guys, that's why this is so important, right? So again, there's a new way, a way better way, right? And it's my company. It's me, right? It's me helping you guys out, learn this like a professional, right? You could shorten that 6-7 year learning curve. You could shorten it down to, you know, literally 30 to 90 days, right? And you guys could get started like a pro. And you're going to have me as your coach, right? So who thinks having a coach is awesome? Yay. Having a coach is great. Yay. Yep. Yay. Thank you guys. I appreciate you guys putting your hands up. Woo. So yeah, having a coach is awesome. I've been doing this forever. Luckily, I've had the opportunity to coach before through the BPM RIA and through personal endeavors. And let me tell you, this is one of the most fun things that I've been doing with my life, is helping other people make a lot more, or excuse me, helping people make a lot of money. That's what I was going to say. So, and not only that, you know, helping you realize that you are capable of doing this. If I can do this, guys, you can do this. So let's keep it going, right? How to be unmissable to land in top search results. So now you guys know a little bit more about how to do that. Very high level, right? Where you really want to be to dive deep into this is going to be the workshop, guys. So if you're ready, you know, go do it. Secret number 3, the magic of price and minimum day stay strategies, right? So we talked about the legality of it. We talked about profile optimization. Now it's time to set your pricing and really maximize your revenue, right? Using both the actual ADR, again, ADR being average daily rate, and your occupancy level, right? And finding that mix in between in order to get your RevPAR up. Remember, RevPAR is revenue per available room. Okay, let's just leave it at RevPAR or RevPAL, right? So right here, this is really, really, really cool, because I did not get this again until like maybe 3 to 4 years ago. I finally bumped into something that I read, and I was like, Jesus, why haven't I been doing this? And so the whole idea is this. Look, it's like a cup of ice, right? Or excuse me, like a cup. You get an empty cup, and you know how certain what is it called? Refrigerators, they could give you like cubed ice, and then crushed ice, and then water. Right. So the way I want you guys to think about it is like this. The cubed ice are your longer term stays. So if we look at this, right, this shows August 2018. You see this really long reservation, right? The farther you guys are out, the longer your reservations should be, your minimum stay strategy. So I know there's a lot of beginners here, and I'm sorry if you know, please, let me see, if you got questions, ask in the Q&A. So and Kurt, I don't do apartments because of the HOA and stuff like that. I think you could kind of get around it, but we would have to talk about that some other time. Okay. With that being said, so minimum day So on the OTAs, right, you can have a minimum day like reservation, meaning that like if I don't want people renting for less than like 3 nights, right? I don't have to rent it, excuse me, I don't have to have somebody coming in and out like every single day, right? You could do 30 nights, you could do 60 nights, you could do 90 nights, right? But it depends on your personal strategy and what it is that you're trying to figure out, right? Or what you're trying to do with your business. I'm sorry. With that being said, if you're running a true short-term rental business, right? A short-term rental business is defined by 30 days or less, right? Midterm is usually 30 days or more, up to 6 months. And then 6 months to like about a year usually is longer term, even though that can still be considered midterm, right? So let's say you're doing short terms, right? And the big problem that most people have, right? And I'd say like 90% of the hosts out there have this problem is that they might have a 3-night minimum, but then they'll only get like Friday, Saturday, and Sunday, right? Of course, those are the days people travel, duh, right? So here's what you want to do, okay? What you want to do is you want to set out your strategy for it to be, let's say 3 months out. And this is up to you, right? And again, depending on your pricing, that's really going to help you dictate where, you know, how well this is going to work for you, right? You got to mess around with your pricing. There's nothing like experience and tracking it and whatnot, right? So what you want to do is like 3 months out is you want to do like a 7-night minimum, right? Then 3 months out is 12 weeks, right? So maybe 8 weeks, you do a 5-night minimum. And then maybe instead of the whole month for the second month, you do only half the month. You know, 6 weeks out, you do 4 nights, right? 1 month out, you do 3 nights. And then maybe between, you know, that this week, right? Let's say you already have a couple reservations this week. Then what you do is to fill in the gaps in the middle, you allow 1-day reservations. Those days in between reservations that are really annoying, like Tuesday and Wednesday and Thursdays, those days, they're called orphan days. So you might have 2 reservations, right? Yeah, you can see my hands. So 2 reservations, then you got that gap in the middle. That gap is called an orphan day, right? And so there's ways of setting up your software for it to automatically detect those orphan days and try to fill them up. And there's different things that you could do, right? Like you could give somebody a really, really good discount for those days. Because remember, the number that you're trying to get up is your RevPAR, right? At the end of the year, your RevPAR, how much money you actually made per night, whether people were in there or not, is really the number that you want to look at, okay? And that's called your minimum day stay strategy. That's what I call it, right? It's a strategy on your minimum days, being able to manipulate them in such a way that you fill up your calendar, right? And this was actually my calendar back in 2023. And so far this month, I've had so far 100% occupancy. I think somebody leaves, today's Tuesday, till somebody leaves tomorrow. So I might have to mess around with my pricing now, right? Like I might have to drop it 10%, or maybe I just got to wait because again, we're going to learn all about this in the workshop. There's also the window from that the guests at your property. I always have trouble defining this. It's the amount of time before an open day or an open night that that your guest takes to rent your house, right? Right now, that window has shortened to about like 1 to 2 days before the actual open night, which is really annoying. But knowing that, right, you know that, like you don't have to freak out, right? So how do you figure out pricing? Number one, you analyze your property, right? You want to figure out what the demand is in your area. So how do you do that, right? How do you do that is by going into somebody else's going into someone's, kind of like we did when we were looking at properties, right? What you want to do is you want to go into their profile and start messing around with their calendar. First of all, you're going to determine demand, right? You're going to determine demand by looking at how many days in the future they're rented out. If they're rented out in the future, that means that in that area and for that particular property, there is a certain level of demand. That's a good thing, right? Not only that, but because that property is already rented, essentially, it's not going to count against you, right? Although there is a limited number, like the market is a limited number of people that come to the market, right? So that's another way of looking at it, that these people have now taken a piece of that market from you, right? So regardless, what you want to do when you're starting out and you're trying to determine price is to look at your competition. You want to look at their calendar. You want to see if their prices change, right? I'm going to give you guys another tidbit here. It's called dynamic pricing. I don't know how many of you are hosts, but for those who aren't hosts, there's a tool on Airbnb called the Smart Pricing tool. It's terrible. It's absolutely horrible. Unfortunately, the tool, what it does, again, I get it. Airbnb is a business. They're trying to make money. They're trying to put butts in beds, right? That's it. That's their job. Get your place full, make that commission, and they're out, right? They don't care about your asset. They don't care about your insurance. They don't care about your liability. None of that stuff. They just want to put some heads in beds, right? So you can use that tool, right? You can. It's up to you. I quickly realized that the prices that they were putting were absolutely terrible. Absolutely terrible. It was rare that the tool actually helped me out. So with that being said, right, you want to use a dynamic pricing tool. There's all kinds of stuff out there. There's Price Labs, that's the one I use. There's AirDNA, there's all kinds of tools. Even Guesty now has one, right? And so the whole point about this setting the minimum day strategy is that you want your calendar to look like this. You don't want to look like this first calendar, right? Like where it's all scattered and you got literally like 50% of the month, right, empty. Those are days that you're not making money. The property's just sitting there vacant, right? And in certain circumstances, you might want that, depending on your property and how much you charge per night. But at the end of the day, I'm a businessman. I want that thing full 100% of the time at top level ADR, right? I'm trying to make as much money as possible. So you want you want it to look like this. So you will have to set up your minimum day stays, right? There's software out there that does this automatically. So you don't have to do this, right? So you don't have to go in and change your price like every day, right? Dynamic pricing, again, it'll automatically detect certain patterns in the market, right? And it'll do it automatically, right? We're going to cover that, right? So I did that, right? I changed it up, and this is my actual occupancy. As you guys see, it was at 100%. Then again, right, we go back and we ask the question, was the price too low, right? So yeah, that's just some more pictures of the people that were there. So with that being said, right, 3 secrets, guys, core things in this business. Make sure you're legal. Number 2, optimize the crap out of your profile, man. Like, go in there, make sure those pictures are perfect. Make sure that you are just, really doing the best job you can with your descriptions, et cetera, right? And then, of course, mess with your pricing, right? Your pricing is going to determine your occupancy, right? And it's going to eventually determine your RevPAR. So remember, you can mess around with all 3. Well, maybe not so much the legality, you want to mess with that, but with number 2 and number 3, you can mess around with it, right? Like, you can figure it out, right? And especially when you like put on the suit, the whatchamacallit, like the armor, like the software, and you really truly get into this, it's just going to explode your revenue, right? And the software is not expensive. So guys, if you follow these steps, you will succeed. Like, there's no doubt in my mind. I have done it. I've done it from 0 to 100. Like it says, right? You guys can do the same exact thing. So real quick, guys, I don't have too much time, but I know you might feel a little bit overwhelmed and whatnot, but I know you guys could use some help doing this. With that being said, do you guys mind if I spend 10 to 15 minutes on my offer? Can I get some hands? Perfect. Thank you, guys. Thank you. So I'm going to spend real quick 15 minutes on my offer, guys, just so you guys know exactly what it is that I'm offering. So that's my company again. And this is, so, what I do is I empower people, right? Like I get other people to do the things that they know they want to do. And I make it, I show them exactly what it is that I've done. And I take all the guesswork out, right? So at this workshop that I've been talking about this whole time, there's 6 hours of value and actionable steps, meaning like this is stuff, just like you learned today, this is stuff that you can go online right now. And if you have a property, you can apply it like immediately. That's why I say that in 30 days, you can maximize your revenue, because it literally will take you it'll take you less than 30 days. The only issue would be is like, if you don't have a property, then we have to go out and find a property, right? But once you have that property, I mean, it's super fast, especially with Amazon. And I have a list of all the items you need. I have all the messages. I have all the affiliate links. I know I'm getting ahead of myself, but the reason that I did, and I spent so much time on this program, is because I mean, like at the meetings, people would just come around me and they'd hear me talk and I'd be excited about what it is that I'm doing, right? Because I'm making money and people just gonna like get around me. And I know some of you guys on the call, like some of you guys are those people, right? You guys have come up to me and asked me questions about my short-term rental business, right? So I just decided, like Anish said at the beginning of the webinar, it's like, dude, just do a webinar, like just get this out of the way, build this thing out and share with the rest of the members. At the end of the day, guys, I'm a member. If you're not a member, you have to join, right? Because you're actually going to save money on the webinar, right? But if you're not a member of BPM, like take out your credit card right now and go, like send a message to Alexa and just send her the credit card information. Okay. Don't waste your time. Become a member, right? So how to start like a pro, right? That's the name of the workshop, because you're going to start your business like a professional, guys. Like you're really going to do the job that, like, I've known people that are hosts for 10 years for like 4 or 5 years. And these guys still don't have professional pictures. I'm just like, come on, man. Like, me, right? Like you can ask me, right? So with that being said, the workshop is meant to like supercharge you guys to the level of a professional, right? To get you guys to the point where you're using professional tools, where your profile is professional, where even if you don't, you got to take your, what is it called? Professional mugshot, the picture that you take as a professional. We're going to work on that, right? How to find properties, spot trends, most attractive features, right, of a property, and like, what should you put in your property? How do you know, right? What software do you use to figure out if people want a barbecue or not, right? Or if they want, whatever, a freaking toaster, right? Like, how do you know? We'll figure that out, right? Different marketing platforms, right? So it's not just Airbnb, guys, it's booking.com, VRBO. And recently, again, I continue to learn. I found out about government contracts, about military housing, about housing for health professionals, about crash pads. I just found out about crash pads. Like, it made so much sense, right? So all of this stuff I'm going to share with you guys during the workshop, because it just doesn't have to be this vacation rental thing, right? It can be, you guys, maybe you live next to a military base. Maybe you live next to a hospital, right? Maybe there's something special around you, that there's like there's some specialty service or experience that you can offer these guys that you just can't offer it anywhere else, right? We're going to talk about some of those websites. Getting your license, we're going to go step by step. Insurance, we're going to talk about insurance, the different levels of insurance, of what, the difference between like regular homeowners insurance and like STR insurance. Automation. Oh man, I wish I had more time to talk about automation, because that's like, it's such a crucial aspect of this whole thing. It's like the thing, right? Automating your business is everything, right? I'm going to teach you how to automate your business, right? And not only that, I'm going to give you the actual, like literally the words that I use for my guests, and I'm going to show you how to use them, right? Like in what, I don't want to say what rhythm, but in what times you want to send what messages, right? We're going to go over key performance indicators. We're going to go over how to maximize your profits and how I did that. And like way, way, way more, guys. And since last time I did this workshop, it was like 7 months ago, I've reworked, I had professional coaching just like you guys. That's what I'm telling you. You got to invest in this, right? I had a professional coach come out from California. This guy sat with me and literally dissected my entire program and like turned it into like a super duper program, right? Which I'm not going to give out too much information just because I don't know if I can. I don't know. I didn't sign an NDA, but I still don't want to give it away, right? With that being said, you come to this program.
Hey guys,
This is
my name
actually
Jaylene,
somebody that I
and
worked
just
with
wanted to give
recently.
a
Her name
quick
is
shout out
Janine.
and testimonial to Antonio. I just did a coaching call with him. It was like an hour and a half, and honestly, what I got out of that little piece of time was more than I've gotten out of the infinite courses I've taken that I've had to go through weeks and just a day and night going through them. They've all been good, but none of them have had the information that he gave super quickly. He went straight to the point, gave a lot of different resources that nobody else talks about, just because there's so many things that you could do to make your experience on Airbnb more successful and more reproductive. So if you're thinking about going into the Airbnb business and have no experience, or you want to get a little bit more out of the experience that you already have because you think you can make more money, have a higher occupancy rate, have a better customer service, then I definitely recommend that you have a call with Antonio.
Janine is super sweet, super nice girl. Worked with her, and now she's doing arbitrage in Orlando on a house, and she's like netting like $4,000 a month. It's ridiculous. And the guy was doing Airbnb. Jose is another person, just for the sake of time. I mean, his well, I just do it. It's like 30 seconds. So
Hey, I just wanted to come on here and talk about my experience with Antonio. I recently got one of his courses on the Airbnb, and I've taken previous courses before that gave me a lot of good information. But what I received from Antonio was game changer. I mean, some of these things I didn't even know existed. He kind of takes the guesswork out of a lot of things. Explains it very thorough. Amazing content, and I loved it. Worth every single penny. I definitely recommend this guy.
so yeah, that's just some of
Yeah,
the
I just
people
want-
that I've worked with, right? I asked them, I'm like, hey, like you told me all these things on the phone, right? Like you loved it. So like, can you make a quick testimonial video for me? And so as you can tell, this kind of shy, but the point is that, guys, it's all this stuff you don't know that existed, right? Like this is the stuff that's really going to make the difference for you guys. And it's just going to pop your revenue. So this works for people starting out, people without properties, people without time, right? People with properties with long-term rentals. It's easy to convert them into short-term rentals, right? We just got to make sure, right, that the revenue is there and the demand is there, right? And it works for all types of people. It doesn't matter where you are in your real estate investing business, or even if you're a real estate investor, right? Like these guys, Janine and Jose, not real estate investors, just heard about this thing called Airbnb, wanted to find out more, got them started. They're like, oh my God, like I didn't know about all this stuff, right? So if you don't have a property, again, you don't have to worry about it. We'll help you find the right house in the right market. We'll help you analyze it literally like in minutes. It doesn't take that long. You just got to know what it is that you're looking for. Once you know what you're looking for, then you can analyze any property. Maybe said there's a property next to you that you want to buy, right? Or there's somebody selling, you could analyze it and you could see, hey, is this property going to be worth doing short-term rentals in, right? And again, other opportunities, right? Military, insurance, and what I mean by insurance is insurance relocation, nurses and doctors, pilots and stewardesses. I know we don't call them stewardesses, but crash pads, right? So legal, right? The only reason that I valued this at 6,000 is because when I first started out, by mistake, I didn't realize I was already doing midterm rentals and I didn't fall into the short-term rental thing right at the beginning. So I would have been easily shut down for 3 months, and I was earning $2,300 at that time. Again, because I wasn't using dynamic pricing, that's why I wasn't making more money. I should have made more money, but 2,300 times 3 is 6,600. Let me see, 2,600 times 3. Yeah, $7,800. So it's actually more, right? If you get stopped for 3 months, you're not making money for those 3 months, and you're not paying your mortgage for those 3 months. 90 days is all it takes to go into foreclosure, guys. Automation, right? I did this for my business, right? And even smart home automation, which is like another thing that's super freaking nerdy, but it's super awesome, right? You won't waste time on repetitive tasks, right? When you optimize, you will increase your response times. You don't have to go through a bunch of different property websites to figure out your analytics, right? It's all going to be in one place. Produce income reports. You're going to be able to create efficiencies in your business, right? There's no longer that lack of communication between your team and your cleaners and your maintenance person, right? Human errors, you're not going to deal with that. Loss of profitability, which is a big one, and avoid some of the guests' negative experiences, right? Like check-in. Check-in doesn't, you should always get 5 stars on check-in. Ask me how I know. I learned the hard way, right? So you don't have to. Time is your most valuable asset, guys. You will earn higher profits and save months of time and frustration, guys. It's much simpler when you have a coach. Again, 6,000 automation strategies worth more than 4,000. I don't know why I'm putting 4,000. It's worth way more than that. You're going to get the automation tools that I use, right? As well as some of the prompts that I use to be able to write my my descriptions online, right? That so far have increased my my ranking on the OTAs. And again, it took me years to figure this stuff out, guys. And I'm giving you everything: maximizing profits, how to turn how to furnish without breaking the bank, right? Like, where do I get this stuff? How much does it cost? I literally have a list of like 150 items. So you don't have to go out and shop. It's all there for you, right? Optimization, the software, the hardware, like, how do you know if somebody's smoking at your house? Okay, right? You get a smoke detector, duh, right? But which one? Like, which one do you get, right? That's what I'm going to do for you guys. Anyone can do it. It's a step-by-step process. I'm going to skip this, right? Optimization knowledge, again, $4,000, right? And the best thing is that, guys, you're going to have me, right? I know I'm running out of time, so I'm just going to kind of run through this, right? Again, hard way, past 5 year, guys, you don't have to do this. You don't have to go through the hard way. If you guys want to get started in this, this is the way you got to get started, right? Loss of sanity obviously is priceless because that's actually how it starts. Loss of revenue, right? You don't have to lose 10,000. Staging, expert consulting, website building, copy, all these things I had to pay for over time, and it would cost me per year, right? Just so I could figure this stuff out and get professional writers to write really great copy. That's not necessary anymore. I can teach you how to get this stuff done, right? Am I going backwards? No, I'm not. Okay, perfect. So a coach, all right, there's coaches. I'll tell you what, I just recently hired a coach, cost me $60,000, right? But it doesn't matter because now I'm a much better speaker and I can communicate myself better just with those few little things that I learned, right? So again, my coaching worth 20 grand minimum, right? And the last thing, right? I want to empower others. This is me speaking. This is actually me when I got started. I was a little bit more buff, I think. But that's actually me standing inside of my first short-term rental, which at that time I didn't realize it was going to be a short-term rental. I had it as a long-term rental. So again, hit the ground running, guys. If you haven't registered already, like, I'm not sure what you're waiting for. The workshop is going to be great. It's going to be 6 hours. And we're going to cover everything that I can possibly cover to get you guys started. Again, it's like a $34,000 value, guys, just with this stuff. I mean, it's obviously a no-brainer. If all you did, guys, is hit the ground running within 30 to 60 days, would it be worth it? If you're thinking about doing this, would it be worth it? Knowing exactly what to do, what to buy, how to set up your property, where, and have all the contacts to be able to get it done in 30 days or less. Would it be worth it? If all you knew was the hardware and software, if all I gave you were the tools that I use online, and some of the smoke detectors or some of the other cool stuff that I have inside my property, would that make it worth it? And to get you started legally, that in itself is again, like a $7,800 value, right? Get you started legally and get it done right from the get-go, right? So at this point, guys, I know that you're at the point where you're like, oh my God, there's so much information. You have two choices, guys. The first option is go as cheap as possible, risk losing money or not making money, right? On both sides, trying to figure this stuff out. Took me forever to figure this stuff out. You don't need to do that, right? Second option is you require a little bit of a higher investment, but in exchange, right, you're going to have your profitability is going to go up. You're going to maximize it because now you're using the tools that professionals use, right? And moreover, I'm going to teach you about management as well, right? So, I mean, what would it cost you guys, right? Like, what would you pay, right? One successful STR is minimum 2,000, 3,000 more money a month. Like, what would you get to get that like one perfect short-term rental business that you can turn around and scale? Because that's the other thing, right? Like, you want to do one really, really good, and then you want to scale it, right? That's what this thing is about, guys. So correct, cost me 16,000. I look like the horse, right? My grill. I'm like, oh, 16K, guys. It's a lot of money, right? People are willing to pay up to 50% of their revenue to work with me, right? I've had literally people come up to me at the meetings and tell me, hey, look, I don't mind. I'll give you 50%, right? I've turned it down, and that's for personal reasons. I'll explain that why in the workshop, right? I'm getting to that. I just saw your question, Teal. So why you can see why it's a good deal at 5,000. It's $997. Like if somebody comes off the street, right? it's $997. For you guys, because Anish beat me up, it's $399 for members and $499 for non-members. Like everybody should take out their phone right now and scan this QR code, right? Go there, put in your credit card information, guys. Like, just trust me. And that's if you're interested in becoming very successful and maximizing your profits, right? If you're like, oh, I don't know, hey, I get it, right? It's not for everybody, right? But if you really are truly trying to get ahead of the game, right? And you're trying to maximize this thing, you just want to hit the ground running, this is what you want to do, guys. Okay. Now you have two choices, right? Again, going back to it, first option is do nothing. Don't take the leap of faith. Go to the link now, make this small investment today, right? You know, compared to all the value you're going to get in return, it just give it a shot. I can't help you. If I can't, look, if you didn't learn anything today, I don't deserve your money, right? If you're not motivated today, I don't deserve your money, right? But if you trust me and you know, and not even, you don't have to know me, right? You will get the value out of this. I guarantee it, right? So like if you go to the workshop and we're there and you're like, Antonio, you know, I didn't like it because, you know, you used the color red on money back guarantee instead of using green. Hey, I'll give you your money back. I don't care, right? Like the idea here is to get a group of people that are like-minded, that are inspired, that want to go after this and they want to get this done, right? Those are the people I want to teach. Okay. So if you haven't scanned the QR code, guys, right now is the time. Antonio, would you consider master leasing my 5-condo unit located 1 block from Dania Beach Boulevard? We can talk about it. Okay. Dan, get my number, ask for my information from Alexa. I know you guys are probably reading this, right? Is it time to gamble? No, I know we got to go.
No.
Again, go ahead.
Yeah, I was just gonna say, if you could leave it on the QR code. We got people.
Okay, yeah.
He keeps. Yeah, it's easier because some people are how to take out their phones, so they're actually hitting me up saying, "Hey, can you go back to the code?" It's going back and forth.
Put the link in the chat for us.
Yeah, it's already in the chat. So
Okay,
just
cool.
in case. But the QR code and so the first, am I reading that right? The first 10
Yeah.
people?
Yeah, this is your fault.
So this is to all the members and everyone. You could thank me later. I take bottles that want. No,
Yeah, right.
at the end of it. So I did tell him Antonio to do something even more special besides pricing, to actually give you a 30-minute consulting session. Is amazing. And again, this is only until Thursday. One of the things is, you know, we've been really working on this at BPM RIA. And again, I'm just going to speak for myself, is there's so many things that happen in life and then you're not in action. And before you know it, it's another couple of days. So I thought, you know, like, why not reward the people that are on time, the people that are in action, because it makes a big difference for them. And it makes a big difference for me, as a coach, as a mentor, thinking that, hey, look, at the end of the day, you know, we have a lot of competition in every one of these industries, and the people that win that we've seen across the board are the people that take action. So I appreciate that extra 30 minutes that you're adding in for anyone that's taking action.
Yeah, absolutely. It's my pleasure. I mean, I'm obsessed with this stuff, as you could probably tell. I thought it was going to not be like boring or whatever. And then as soon as I started talking, I was like, I love this.
Yeah.
I just want to share that with everybody, you know?
Yeah, it's, as I said, like, we're passionate. You know, my commitment here at BPM RIA is a lot of education. We've been doing in-person workshops. A lot of you guys have seen that we're adding a lot more workshops and making it a lot more fun. This is the time to make a lot of money, is my point. And again, what Antonio is talking about, look, he spent well over $60,000 on coaching himself. I spent well over 100 grand. So I know people say, hey, Nish, you do pretty well. And I know I do. But as I say, I always got a lot of unfinished business to take care of too. So I know Kurt just asked a quick question about percentages between short terms and midterm.
So the funny thing is it depends. Like on low season, I try to switch more to a midterm kind of strategy, just because when it's really high season during February, March, and like half of April, I mean, it's just the ADR is through the roof, right? Like just on one part of the house, I'm making like 12 grand, 10 to 12 grand, maybe like 11 grand, just on that one part of the house. And then the other part of the house, the last time, it's a 1-bedroom, 1-bath, not even 1 bedroom, it's a studio with a really nice bathroom. And I decorated it really, really nice. That one, the highest I've gotten, which was back in, I think it was April April, or not even, I think it was just in June. It's $3,300, $3,300
Yep,
for a studio.
Yep, and not on the ocean, guys. So
Yeah,
the
not on
point,
the
the,
ocean.
the point that why I really am impressed with Antonio is, yeah, there's a lot, and I get it. Maybe you're in that market, you could afford the multi-million-dollar homes, and you're on the water, and yes, you're living the Miami Beach or Fort Lauderdale Beach lifestyle. What impressed me about what Antonio has been doing is it's about cash flow. So
Mhm.
he's doing short-term rentals where I would never think a short-term rental place should be. The professional athletic community, the Miami Dolphins, I think they almost had a heart attack when their bus rolled in and said, "Is it going to be safe here?" No, it's not that bad of an area, but like, is this really where the short-term rental is? And when they saw the numbers, they were like, "Wow!" So if you're about cash flow, yeah, if you're about making money on that portion, this is something totally different, and it's possible to get in pretty easy into this business too. So you don't want to make the same mistakes that Antonio did years ago. You're basically learning the fast track with him. So I think that's any final last things, Alexa. I want to make sure we got everything kind of covered. I appreciate you guys hanging out with us. I know we went a little bit over. It's just a lot of great information.
Sorry about that, guys.
Yeah, no problem on that end of it. I know we have a webinar tomorrow also, so that should be fun too. Anything else I'm missing, Alexa?
I will be posting the replay for this webinar, you guys, on our YouTube channel. So please go subscribe. I will send you guys everything you need to know about Antonio's workshop. I'll be sharing my contact information if you have any questions. If I don't know the question, I'll ask Antonio. So you guys, let me know what your questions are. I want to get you into this workshop with Antonio. And again, first 10 people, you have that free 30-minute consult.
Yep.
And of course, let me know if you guys have any questions. I feel like I'm missing something, but
Nope, you're good. You're good.
thank you. Look out for my thank you email. I will be sending that to everyone after this webinar. So thank you so much, Antonio. That was incredible. And everyone,
Thank
my
you,
email
guys.
is alexa@bpmria.com. So please look out for that. Double check your junk, everything, because that will be what you guys need for Antonio's workshop. So, and all the details.
Thank you, Antonio Lopez, for such an informative webinar. We look forward to your all-day workshop. What I can tell you is, if it's good enough for the Miami Dolphins and the professional athletic community, he is the expert out of all the people around the country. They could have chose a lot of different people out there. Again, they loved what Antonio's been doing. And his commitment to students and educating people out there. That's why I love him so much, and we love him at BPM RIA. Thank you so much, and I will see you guys tomorrow, Thursday after work. Remember, it's Ask Anish. Make yourself your favorite drink. Maybe what I'll do is, if you're going to be on there Thursday, send a photo of your favorite drink on our Facebook group. That'd be kind of fun. I'm curious to see what everyone else is up there too. So thank you guys. Appreciate it. Bye.
Thank you.
Bye, guys.
Bye.
Bye, guys.